The things that keep me up all night, my powers of projection. You've got them too. You know, when you're imagining the emerging horizons, what risks might be there, what impending doom could emerge. We have what Donald Rumsfeld described as the known unknowns to worry about, but then there are the unknown unknowns. And that'll definitely keep you up worrying. But the best that we can do is all that we know to do. So an all hazards mitigation plan has to be in place. One for yourself, one for your family, your neighborhood, and for the community at large. I have conducted all hazards mitigation assessments on the town and regional level before, and I'm taking one on now here in the homeland. And I don't necessarily expect to be particularly endeared to any policymakers or office holders by this process. It's I, I, the only guarantee is that no one's going to get a positively great assessment. We're not prepared for emerging circumstances. How many of you were on hand for the recent Economic Development Summit? Rush Harris handed off the mic to the SWEPCO representative and asked him, "What are you going to do in the event of a Category 5 tornado?" And that chap laid an egg. He said, "We'll do our part," which is like saying nothing. Um, SWEPCO's not prepared. Town isn't. County isn't. Forgive me, is it too soon to mention the horrible tragedy in Central Texas? If you had asked any of those office holders, policymakers, or emergency responders if they were prepared, if they were ready for emerging circumstances, they would have given you a very positive, assertive, vociferous yes. It's their job to say they're ready. It's their job to be ready on paper, but we're not ready. They weren't ready. And of course, the most vulnerable in the population are the ones who suffered first. They are the ones who suffered the most. And that's always the circumstance. I was the last person to poise a question to the primary speaker at the economic development. I was the last one to ask a question, and they didn't even provide me with a microphone, but I belted out this one question. After returning to Marshall, I gave myself a year. I said 1 year before you know the right questions to ask, before you know the right people to ask. So it was on the 1 year anniversary. I poised this question. I said, "Ray, thank you for speaking. Thank you for speaking into the uncertainty. You said have a plan." I said, "Our vulnerable populations are the first impacted, the most impacted by emerging circumstances. And we don't have a plan. What do you propose?" And Ray addressed all the great and the good at the summit and said, he's asked a question that is very near and dear to my heart, which surmises everything. He said that the people that we conducted this economic summit for weren't at the summit. They weren't in that stadium. They were the vulnerable, the underserved, the populations that are most impacted by change. So, yes, we want to build economic development. We want to have resilience, and we want to be prepared for emerging circumstances. And that's all requiring a plan. Great minds, greater than my own, are making plans and using modalities that are optimal. But I'm an individual and I'm going to do my part. I've got background in emergency preparedness, not only here in the United States, but in France and Central America, um, and elsewhere. So we're going to bring all of those sensibilities home, and we're going to build a resilient community, and I dare say we could be standard bearers and maybe even the flagship of preparedness in small communities. So let's pull together, because rest assured, it will be the unknown unknowns that snatch our vulnerable populations overnight if we don't do our part tonight. So if you're going to be up all night, message me. Let's Let's do what Ray suggested and have a plan.